huge momentum for us. Canada sees hemp as one thing, as an incredible magnet for agricultural and industrial sustainable development. They don't see it as a drug. And they are going to do extremely well by it. They see it as jobs. Meanwhile, here in the land of oppression, the hempsters are handcuffed, our farmers are handcuffed, and we're watching this industry we created disappear from us like televisions and VCRs and fax machines, articles of Yankee ingenuity being lost to foreign production because our government couldn't get off the stick to support local entrepreneurship. And I think it's a big shame. Canada did an admirable job creating their regulations for industrial hemp. In the fall of the year, the Canadian legislature said, okay, fine, Health Canada, you begin to regulate industrial hemp. And by spring, they had the regulations in place. They listened to the stakeholders. They had meetings with the farmers and the industries, needed to hear what they needed in the regulations in order to be able to survive. And they came up with a reasonable scheme of regulations that protects the public and does not impede the development of industrial hemp. And the United States is supposed to respect these decisions of the sovereign country of Canada and incorporate them into our regulations under the NAFTA Treaty, which mentions hemp 8 times. But before I continue to sing praises for Canada and what's going on up there, and I know David will too, I better answer one question. So if hemp is not equal to marijuana, if you can't get high from it, it has nothing to do with drugs, why are you speaking here at the normal conference? Okay? So I've come up with 7 reasons why. 7 reasons why the confusion between hemp and marijuana gets in our way. Okay? One is this understanding that industrial hemp is the root cause of incorporating laws against marijuana into our overall drug laws. That it was the utility of this plant, and not its utility as use of a medicine or a drug or whatever, but its utility as an industrial feedstock that got us into this trouble with marijuana back in 1937. And once people understand that, it makes them understand a little better why it would not be so harmful to take a look at these laws and reform them. 2, because hemp is another victim of the drug war. We are stuck in an incredibly bad situation, not of our doing, only because of the association between hemp and marijuana. Okay? 3, because the drug warriors continue to insist that hemp equals marijuana. McCaffrey's got 3 arguments against hemp. 1, he says it's difficult for his officers to distinguish hemp from marijuana. And I, as Alan said, don't think that this shows a very high regard for his officers. 2, he says it's not economical. But what does this Tyrol general know about economics? And 3, he says it sends the wrong message to children when we scream back, you think we're sending the wrong message to children? All these lies that you're putting out there is what's sending the wrong message to children, not us. The fourth reason is confusion. There is confusion between hemp and marijuana. This, hey man, you want to smoke some hemp kind of thing, really gets in our way. It's really important for us in our nomenclature to understand the difference and not use hemp when we mean marijuana and marijuana when we need hemp, when we mean hemp. Okay? But it is confusing in a legal sense too. What are hemp seeds worth? Well, we sell on wholesale hemp seeds for 50 cents a pound. That's 25,000 seeds for 50 cents. Okay? What is marijuana seed worth? Well, you go on the internet, there's 22 sites ready to sell you marijuana seeds for a price between $5 and $50 a seed plus shipping. Okay? And so that's an incredible difference. It's in the order of billions. The 25-pound bag of hemp seeds that Roger imported into Hawaii that he paid $37 for, including the shipping, would have been worth about $4 billion for marijuana seeds. And that creates a problem. The real problem is that until we get some sanity in the war on drugs, and especially the war on marijuana, this artificial price difference between the two of them, brought on by a $35 billion a year subsidy to the marijuana industry, that price difference makes it hard for us to get reasonable regulations in this country. It's an impediment to us being able to move forward in hemp. And so to me, the answer is to get sanity in the whole issue, to put out enough hemp products so people see that it's just a natural plant, a God-given herb, and that why are we fighting so much about it, put so many people in jail over this plant. Then we got the cross-pollination issue that I talked about. Again, the best thing they could do is grow hemp in this country. It would keep marijuana out of those particular areas, and in the end, we are going to have areas of this country who decide to grow industrial hemp, and areas of this country who decide to grow high-potency THC marijuana for recreational or in medical purposes someday. But it won't be done in the same valley. Okay? And then we got the interference with the drug testing industry that you learned about in these seminars, which is really not an issue anymore. Our perspective on it is this. One company put out a hemp seed oil that had 1,300 parts per million THC. Not near enough to get you high, but enough to spike these extremely sensitive drug tests that are able to measure parts per billion of your urine. And so we had soldiers saying that their court-martial shouldn't happen because their THC in their system wasn't from smoking, but was from hemp oil and employment issues and this and that. It's created a major problem for the industry that has gone away because the industry cleaned it up its act really fast. Anybody putting out a product today, especially in Canada, is keeping it under 10 parts per million, 1/130th as much THC as that oil that caused the problem. And so you can safely consume any kind of hemp food product these days without fear that you're going to spike a urine test. And you cannot use hemp products anymore as an excuse for high urine levels. Okay? Let's keep that straight. Okay? So, but that doesn't stop the hype that we're getting now from the federal government over this issue. We've solved the problem, but they're a few years behind schedule here. Okay? Then we got eradication efforts. You know that the state of Vermont did an audit of their drug eradication program and found that 98% of the plants that these cops were pulling up and claiming their numbers and standing in front of and having their big bonfires with, 98% of the plants that were being eradicated in the United States were low potency, no THC, industrial hemp plants, and not marijuana. So it inflates the budget, it contributes to the prison industrial complex, and we're wiping up the genetics of these remnants from the hemp breeding programs of the early part of the century. So that's our present situation. You got to listen to this alphabet soup of federal agencies that we're up against, and then tell me that I'm not paranoid. Okay? They really are out to get us. Okay? A little history. Production on the ground in Canada started in 1998. We grew the country, Canada, grew 6,000 acres of industrial hemp in 1998. Industry started getting built. Big investments started coming in. We're looking at projects up to $300 million of investments in building paper mills. Some huge projects are underway in Canada. Canada really saw this take off. In 1999, they grew 30,000 acres. And then just at the point that the Canadian farmers and industries were most vulnerable, the U.S. Customs seized a load of birdseed that I had sold to my old birdseed supplier. Instead of being the largest consumer of birdseed in America, I was all of a sudden in the position of brokering for Canucks in Canada birdseed to the American bird food industry. And it was looking really lucrative, and all of a sudden we had all these other food companies looking at hemp seeds and going to start lines of hemp products, and you were going to see chemical products all over the natural product stores by now, except